Hello guys. Today we are going to be talking about the episode The Howler. Not a werewolf story, actually. This one came out in September 2001, TVY7, as 8.4 out of 10 on IMDb with about 45 user votes. Um, let's see, it stars Jeremy Ray Valdez, who was in. Hold on, has to load. Uh, He was in Constantine as a bit part, but La Mission is kind of his most known. I don't. So there's that, and then also Cara de Liza, or something like that. I'm not quite sure. Oh, she was in a TV show so weird. It ran from 99 to 2001. I might actually have to read about that one. That one looks kind of intriguing to me from a kid show perspective. And then this episode specifically was directed by. Hmm. You're gonna have to see here. I laughed that they didn't even have show who the director was. Like like no joke. Like I can't find a director for this episode. It's like weird. I never seen this before. Yeah, I mean, there's the writer Scott Murphy. I mean, I guess I'll look into him. This is weird. I never seen anything like this before. He wrote for Star Wars: The Clone Wars, so there's that. It's weird. I can't believe there's not a director's credit. I will also say that as a side note, Robert Englund is in this episode as somebody, which is pretty cool. So, what is this about? Basically, let's see here. I actually remember this episode very well. In fact, I think I actually saw it like when it was originally aired in the early 2000s as a kid. Maybe caught it then, I think. So here it is. Supernaturally obsessed Spencer, his friend Vanessa, and new kid Charlie decide to try out a gadget Spencer bought at a novelty shop called the Howler, and it's supposed to contact the dead. But when it's when they're not using it that they see three figures in the light it sends off, saying something unclear. They think they're kids who disappeared in an abandoned hangout construction site, the pit, and get a message in their serial. Really, wait, serial? Prompting them to go there to communicate with them. When they do, a beam of light goes toward each of them, though the only effect seems to be on, I'll just say one of them, not to give away spoilers, on one person who wants to try it again. And the person was really trapped, and the body is inhabited by one of the ghosts. Okay, and yeah, and so on and so forth. So I think what I like about this episode is, I don't know, it kind of it it definitely it's an interesting. I don't know how many stories there are of ghost machines being used to communicate with the dead, because usually when people think about communicating with ghosts, they don't really use the machines necessarily. I mean, you see a lot of with the Ouija board. You see just maybe just a casual chant or something old school. Like, how often do you see a new school technique used to communicate with the ghost? I mean, nowadays I know there's ghost hunters who use certain tricks and machines and whatever, but nothing to this extent really for this episode. Now I know it's science fiction or horror, fantasy, and whatever, but still. From what I remember about it, I mean, I don't remember the acting being bad. I do. I think. Sorry. I think what I liked about this episode there was kind of a sense of urgency in this episode that I did enjoy. I did like the sense of urgency and the tone. I think what makes this one stand out, I think, is really just kind of like I remember the machine very well. They did a great job framing the machine and making it feel like an important thing, which usually with episodes and stories like this is kind of a given, but you'd be surprised sometimes how sometimes they might not do as much of it than you would think. Um, the only thing I can think about with this episode is the fact that I don't remember any negatives necessarily, but I do think that it's kind of like one of those things where it could feel like you may have seen it before. I will say it's not. I don't know if it's the most original horror plot in the world, but I think the way it's presented and the way it's explored kind of makes it feel a little bit more original. But I remember it being well decent and executed. The acting of in it, I don't remember it being like horrendously bad. I mean, I don't think it was like cheesy bad. I just think it was just decent acting from what I remember. Um, Jeez, I don't. Hmm. And that reminds me of another thing. I'm sorry for the pause. I was just thinking for a second. That reminds me of another thing. The way they did these episodes, the way they delivered the twists, I always felt really like heightened, like because they would close with this narration and everything, and in these events they don't always seem like they're happening rapidly, but it gives you that sense of like you're being like thrown in the whirlwind a little bit sometimes, and I do enjoy it, and they do it here too pretty well from what I remember. I think the only thing to keep in mind with this episode is, again, I will say this: when I before I watched it years ago, I always like when I watched it when I was like in the early 2000s when I was a kid, because I know I did. I think I probably thought of it as just Are You Afraid of Dark or Goosebumps or something. So it kind of maybe blended a little bit more. I don't know if it stands out much in this film sphere when I was little as it should have. Looking back now, I think it did, but yeah, I think the effects were decent. That's I think what really makes this thing stand out is really the Howler machine. It's the way they describe it, the way they use it, and everything kind of feels ironically kind of fresh a little bit. It's weird because you would think that something like this sounds kind of been there, done that, but I don't know. There's something about it that makes it feel fresh and there's a little bit of sense of urgency too, because the way they do it makes it so like, oh wow, this is legit. This is There's like no question. This is like we're doing it kind of thing. We're actually seeing this thing actually happening. So there, it kind of makes it easier to get like hooked up in the hype of it a little bit for the characters too, for the characters at least. But yeah, is this the best of the series? I don't think so. I still think the previous one so far I did enjoy a lot. I think this one just kind of it does good, but I think what holds it back somewhat is the fact that there's not really. I mean, I think there was a twist, maybe, but I don't think it was nearly as like whoa as the previous one was. But I think it's good. Like I said, all these episodes in the series, there's not really a bad episode in this short-lived series. They're all good to great. There's just some that might be a little better than others, But yeah, but overall, it's a good episode. It's definitely, I think it's worth a look. And yeah, guys, thanks for watching. In case you want to chat with me, Mike, or anyone else at the Camping Company, you don't want to use the YouTube comment section, we do have a couple options. The first one is we have a Discord channel. Find a link to that in the about page / about section of our channel. We also have a discussion tab on our channel as well, and can access that through a PC or laptop computer. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the videos, and have a good day.